A lot of junior developers will choose NoSQL when they start a new project. And the reasons is because they don't have to create a schema, so they're not bound by the schema, the data definition language, meaning the structure of a structured query language RDBMS. So it seems to be very convenient. You can just connect to Mongo or Couchbase and start dumping objects into it. The problem is that if you do that, you're not collecting data, you're collecting garbage. And you might as well go out on the street and, you know, pick up used toilet paper and frame it and hang it on the wall as a badge of that you're so good at collecting garbage. You see, unless you keep some sort of like structure in your data, you're not collecting data, you're collecting junk. You're basically a hoarder. Now, of course, you can't help it because of all the rubbish marketing these NoSQL companies have been exercising over the last 2 decades, telling you big data, big data. Fuck big data. When was the last time you had a database with 100 million records in? Well, if the answer is never, you've never needed a NoSQL database. Now, how many NoSQL databases do you have? Let me show you like 5 different things you can't even imagine doing in Mongo or Couchbase or any of the other NoSQL systems. So here I am inside of my cloudlet. I'm going to be using the Chinook database here to illustrate stuff you can't really do in NoSQL without extreme amounts of pain, may I emphasize. So here I am inside of the SQL editor. I can of course write SQL, right, if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ask this guy to, I need an SQL statement that returns how many albums each artist have released. Order by max, such that those with most albums comes first. Try doing this with NoSQL. And there we go. So here you can see Iron Maiden, 21 albums, Pink Floyd, 16, Led Zeppelin, 14, Deep Purple, 11. Now, if I wanted to execute this in a NoSQL system based upon partition keys and, you know, junk theories like that, with absolutely no consistency whatsoever and no schema and no DDL and nothing, I'd have to send JavaScript to every freaking partition within my cluster, resulting in that the electricity bill for executing this freaking thing, if I had 100 million records, would probably be 20 bucks every time it freaking executes. Now, that's one thing, right? Here I can see, because I have a schema and a DDL, I can actually see every single thing that the system does. Let me show you other stuff I can do by opening up the AI expert system. So remember I created this, actually let me log in with my root user. Remember I created in my last YouTube video, I created the vibe coder guy. Okay, let me recreate that guy once more, okay? Vibing out. Flavor, and I don't have that guy here, of course. I need to install it. Plugins, vibe coding, install. Go back to manage, machine learning, create a new type. Vibing out, flavor, vibe coder, save, and refresh in AI expert system. So now I have this type. I can ask it to what? Actually,
speak out loud and clear.
What can you do? And now you can see, of course, it tells me everything it can do, right?
I can help you with a wide range of back-end software development tasks related to
here, because I mean, I presume you don't want to listen to the AI speaking on some freaking YouTube video. But the point being, I want to create a database for a CRM system for a small retail shop selling groceries. Suggest a DDL, and display it as a mermaid shop. Maybe I should update the expert system, I'm not entirely sure. It's going to be able to do this. It's working. Okay, customers, orders, products, order items. Create the database as grow shop. Now, of course, the point being, I now have a new database. If I go to create, I go to SQL Studio. I can choose my shop database here. It didn't apply the DDL piece. It only created the database, so it had no tables. Let's try again. Shop and 4 tables. Now at this point I can see how many records do I have in this table, how many records do I have in this table, how many records do I have in this other table. I can do joins, I can do aggregates, I can calculate average, etc., etc. All of this stuff is simply not available in NoSQL without, writing code. And even if you write code, if you've used the database for 10 years, then half of your data is garbage because you've changed your implicit schema 5 years ago to add one new field being God knows what, right? So you have absolutely no predictability in regards to what data your database is holding. So you don't have data, you have garbage. You can speak about the CAP theorem as much as you want to, but facts are back in the 1970s when, very, very smart people invented SQL, structured query language, and RDBMS systems and stuff like that. They had a lot of experience related to dealing with data. And they knew how they wanted to structure their data such that they could efficiently query it and retrieve the information they wanted. Also, when they were looking for literally a needle in the haystack. And then comes some NoSQL crazy guy, I don't know, like 20 years ago or something, and says, ooh, if we drop the schema and foreign keys and referential integrity and all of that, stuff there, we can drop completely consistency and we will have so much availability that, we can store trillions of records. You want to have trillions of records? Great. Create a for loop that goes from 1 to 1 trillion and just save random crap into your database. Because that's basically what you're doing with a NoSQL system, more or less. Because the data has no structure. So you cannot anticipate any of the records actually having the structure that you assume it is going to need to have in order to be able to accomplish its function. Right? You see, NoSQL databases, for 99% of every single use case, they are actually being currently used. They're junk, they're garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. This is why so many companies today is struggling with AI, because they have garbage data. You have NoSQL database, you have garbage data by the very definition of the term. Now, there are some extremely few apps that do need a NoSQL database simply because of the CAP theorem prohibiting even monster databases like PostgreSQL to be capable of persisting enough records per second to serve the user base, right? Examples are Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. But unless you're building Twitter and LinkedIn or Facebook, if you're using a NoSQL database, you should be fired, really. Sorry to say so, but you should be fired.